Okay, so this round is, it's Prowess versus Ninjas. So Augur is on blue-red Prowess.
And it kind of does what you expect. It plays creatures with prowess and triggers prowess.
Yeah, and but one of the interesting cards it runs is Nizev Enforcer. At the end of turn, if you have 4 more power, or if this guy has 4 more power, you copy it. So if you play it with pump spells, you can easily copy this thing.
It looks like the game is starting, so we'll hop into it.
Okay.
Yes, Nizev Enforcer is an interesting addition, especially with Strong Arm, because that lets you copy it basically with only 1 spell. Another interesting new addition is Enraptured Countess, which is much less spicy card than Nizev Enforcer, but kind of lets the deck go a bit longer with the flashback on the tail.
It's a 1-drop that also lets you cast a non-creature spell that also lets you cast another non-creature spell.
Yeah, that is a lot of non-creature spells. Zangy's on ninjas, and you can kind of tell what the deck's all about just by looking at the opening hand, where they have the Monument of the Fallen Man, lets them put 2 drops into play, and a Theocracy, which also lets them put 2 drops into play.
And Shinrei, which lets them get back 2 drops and put them into play again off the other cards.
Shinrei and Suzume are both kind of part of the deck's main kind of lockout mechanism with a 2-drop that forces the opponent to discard when it enters the battlefield. Gyron Pickpocket.
Gyron Pickpocket or Wailing Chorus.
Yeah. So both Shinrei and Suzume let you kind of pick back up the discard creature, and then you can put it back down with Monument of the Fallen Man, instant speed. And if you do that, your opponent's draw step, they can get locked out of the game if they don't have good instants. And I don't think Augur has a good instance in this case. Just Strong Arm, Fire Burst, and Arcana Spell Surge, none of which are particularly exciting.
I mean, Fire Burst does kill stuff, I guess.
Yeah, Fire Burst would be the main out to kind of that block. So going back to the game, Zangy has a Monument of the Fallen Man, Augur has some creatures, but only 1 land.
I think Zangy has advantage right now because he got to turn 2 Monument.
So Augur playing defensively here, not attacking with the Storm Shaper and the Nizev.
A wise choice, seeing as Zangy just flashed out an issue.
It is a wise choice, though it is kind of a disappointing thing to have to do.
Oh, Nagil Crocodile. That's removal in the form of a 2-drop.
So we see that Zang runs out the Transnaturalist, and I imagine they would prefer to run out one of the blue-black cards, but they have a Plains in play, so they are unable to run out Suzume or Shinrei. But I presume they're kind of okay with that, with this kind of board state at least.
Yeah.
So we see a Scorch on the niche too, and now Zang has a choice of whether to Neo Crocodile the Nizev Enforcer here.
And they probably do, right? Or
maybe.
So I guess they're worried about Augur drawing another land and then playing another spell. Or, no, that doesn't even grow Nizev to 4 power. So.
Oh, I see. They run it Suzume to save the Inishta. Yeah, that's a much better line than what I was thinking of.
Okay. So now Augur just wasted the burn spell, and now.
So this line would be pretty punished if Augur did draw the second land this turn. His land Scorch the Suzume is pretty rough, but that's not the world living in. Now, saying he has another kind of mana mishap where 3 lands, but not enough white sources to cast the Theocracy.
Well, they can sack Murky Pete end of turn, and then you can still play 2-drop, so they can just run out Theocracy next turn.
Yeah, very true. So the Neo Crocodile killing the Nizev Enforcer makes sense. The Nizev Enforcer can be kind of scary, considering I don't think Zangy has any clean answers to it besides the Neo Crocodile. The Transnaturals can kind of help, but with strong arms in Augur's deck, the Nizev Enforcer can get kind of out of hand, growing exponentially in terms of numbers.
Zangy does fetch their white source. I know Augur still doesn't have any lands. They're just gonna have to consult for lands here, right?
Yeah, most certainly. It's not like you really have attacks here, so when you're Scorch or something doesn't really help. It is a bit unfortunate, but so is being stuck on one land. I will say that with Coastal Dominion, the land Zang just fetched, working with Murky Pete, and that kind of cycle is a very neat interaction, and kind of like one of the upsides of not having any one-drops, where you can play this very strong mana base. Not that it worked out this game especially well, but
Augur finally draws their lands. 2 lands, in fact, but a bit late for them.
So squashes the Suzume, which
that's gonna be really painful once Shinrei comes down.
Yeah. That's not like you have any other options here. Like you could cross in the fog. No, actually,
no, you can't. You don't have enough attackers.
We'll just get into. But I guess you're not. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Wait, do you have Squash the Suzume there?
Probably.
There are a lot of pieces happening here, including like the only attacking with the Storm Shaper instead of with both Countess and Storm Shaper.
I guess they're trying to keep the flashback on Countess.
So I see the Nishu trade off with the Storm Shaper, which I imagine Augur is decently happy about. But Theocracy comes down and seems like Zangy has a pretty stable board state here, especially with finding a Wailing course left turn off the consult. They can start to pick away at Augur's hand.
Is Zangy still looking for something off Theocracy? Okay, they got Suzume off Theocracy. So now is Augur gonna Scorch again? So they can Wayfarer Shrine and then flash back the Scorch on the Suzume.
They can, though I feel like that's kind of a losing line.
Yeah, they probably just
not really progressing anything.
They have to go for blood right now. But,
so I guess at the same time, it's kind of hard to go for blood with these kind of slow Master Tranquilities and not being able to get through with crossing the fog.
Well, I mean, Master Tranquility will block these guys.
That's true, though. I don't think you really want to be getting going long against ninjas in this matchup. You only have so much time before Wailing Course and go around pickpocket, tear away your hand, and start removing your draw steps.
Well, right now Zang has Wailing Course plus a second monument in hand, so they can get the lockdown pretty soon, I think.
Yeah. So we're going to see the tail on the Scorch, likely picking off the Suzume.
That does delay the combo, I guess.
That's true. The Shinrei in hand, if it's Deceptioned out, will get back with Suzume.
Yeah.
So Zangy decides to just chomp with the Transnaturalist.
Huh. What are they afraid of?
Or I guess they just want to get the Shinrei down.
Or maybe they want to get the Transnaturalist back with Shinrei?
I think they're just preserving the life total.
Yeah.
I think between like Inish 2 or Neo Crocodile, really just anything but the Transnaturalist seems a bit better. Zangy finds a diamond pickpocket off the Theocracy, which will accelerate Augur's hand diminishing.
Well, they can just, yeah.
And another mana mishap with Zangy's lands, having a flooded morass and a plains.
Oof. You can't really feel bad for them right now because they're so ahead.
Very true. Shinrei gets a hit in, which will get them back. Something from the yard, which will be a Suzume. Makes sense, as it's kind of a lock piece. And second monument comes down, and doesn't really seem like there's a way out of this for Augur. Zangy's out of weekly life total. Augur's hand doesn't really accomplish much in this board state.
Technically, crossing the fog, maybe?
Yeah, crossing the fog could do something, but at the same time, it's kind of difficult to get any hits in.
Augur's just going to play out their hand, I think. So there's nothing left to discard. Wait, they're not playing out crossing the fog here.
Well, I think it's starting to be kind of impossible for them to get any hits in, right?
Yeah, but like, why wouldn't you play out your cards? Because you know you're going to get discarded this turn. You might as well just not have anything to discard.
Well, they don't necessarily know about the Wailing Course. Right. But I guess even just on board Suzume on the Gyron, monumented back out, and then for the Gyron, get Augur's last card, and then pick it back up with Suzume in time for the draw step block.
Yeah, because if Augur did crossing the fog there, I think they could have like So they float some cards off to a journey, and then they can get hits in with Tomb, with the Great Drakes, and try to hit 1-cost spells.
Well,
And
not
then
really, because I guess like, Zangy has another land mishap here, because the Transnaturalist isn't online either.
Right, that's hilarious.
I was thinking that Transnaturalist is kind of, I guess, Zangy out of any situations where Crossing Fog might draw Augur out of this, but not that terribly matters at this point, considering Wailing Course or Gyron, whichever Zangy chooses to use, will keep Augur off most of their draws for the rest of the game.
Okay. So while we're waiting for Augur to get draw step blocked, I would like to point out Augur's 2 basic lands and the art of those lands.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see that they're different because the island has a teardrop at the bottom of the card, and the mountain has a fire at the bottom of the card.
Yeah, but like if you think about what's the difference between a mountain and an island? Like
The symbol in the text box, right?
No, I mean like in real life, because islands are just underwater mountains. Like islands are just mountains, except you start measuring them from below sea level, right? And Augur just is going to concede now before they get...
Okay, picks up their cards. So now in the sideboard, if you're looking at Augur's sideboard, I don't know if they get anything for this matchup.
Sunken Ambitions?
Is the Sunken Ambitions, I guess, maybe? Like, I don't necessarily mind Sunken Ambitions as a matchup, because Zangy's deck is quite slow, even with Monument, taking a couple turns to get going, but I don't know if it's necessarily better than anything Augur's already playing.
Right. Imposition probably not good.
Yeah, Imposition seems pretty bad here. Blazing Volley, maybe? I need to look at how many X1s Augur has. Oh, sorry, Flaming Point Technique, of course, kills an artifact. Monument the format is certainly an artifact.
Right. The game has already begun, I think. Yeah.
And Zangy has a whole bunch of different stuff.
They probably White Ring Ordainer, I think.
Yeah, White Ring Ordainer. A bunch of other kind of random stuff like Journey's End, Forbidden Treasure, Chikai's Feed Out that you could bring in if you wanted to.
Zangy can just keep bouncing White Run Ordainer with Suzume and gaining life out of that.
They definitely could, though I think Prowess, at least Augur's build Prowess, can probably outrace that.
So Augur starts off with Zev instead of Storm Shaper.
Makes sense. You want to get in 2 hits for Crossing the Fog next turn.
Yeah. So Augur's probably Storm Shaper, Crossing the Fog. You can also run out Master of Tranquility early if they want.
They definitely could run out Master of Tranquility, though I'm not a super big fan of that. It seems a bit... I guess if you're not running it now, you're never really going to be able to run it out.
It also gets blocked by Trump blockers. Master even trades with Trump blockers.
Yeah. So you see Crossing the Fog.
So Augur's just going to take they're just going to take their cards now.
Yeah, now and this seems kind of like exactly what Augur wants in this matchup. Maybe would have liked to find a land there, that they can probably find it off Crossing the Fog and consult Ancient Knowledge next turn. So it takes the Crossing the Fog and the Storm Shaper off the journey.
Please down the Monument.
So I think...
More Crossing the Fogs.
So this is... I think I would have liked to see Augur take the Consult over the Crossing the Fog, just so that they can have a better chance of finding the third land.
Oh, at the same time, Augur probably wants to get their hits in early before Zangy has a defense set up.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at like these Storm Shaper decks who will get eaten by a Inish 2 or Suzume with only 1 spell cast. Whereas if you play Consult, Land, Spell, then suddenly these Storm Shaper decks are looking much better.
So Zangy can Monument in Suzume and block, and if Augur hits a land off, and then Augur can just Fiery Burst the Suzume later.
So if they have taken Consult over the Crossing the Fog here, Zangy would be down 2 life, and this probably down another 3 life from the Storm Shapers 4, unless if they wanted to chump.
Just picking up their lands now.
Yeah, makes sense. You have plenty of card draw with another Crossing the Fog in hand. You already have 4 mana with the spell in hand.
And they're just gonna fire burst to Suzume.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm entirely in love with this, though I guess it's not like Crossing the Fog is going to be doing much. But I don't necessarily know how much Suzume does here,
So
besides being a 2/3.
then you can't play Theocracy this turn because of mana troubles.
Yeah, this is the second game in a row where 3 lands is not casting Theocracy.
And meanwhile, all of their lands are also pinging them.
Yeah, this is definitely where these pain fetches kind of look a bit on the sketchier side.
Like a Monument, holding up Whiterun and Transnaturalists, or no, Pickpocket and Whiterun, because Transnaturalists can't bounce stuff yet.
Yeah, so this is kind of why I didn't super like fire bursting Suzume on Augur's last turn. So I guess if you run it Crossing the Fog, the same thing happens, where you only have one spell. So your creature's only 2 power and don't get through Suzume or Niche 2 or Whiterun or Dana.
Well, the good news for Augur is that that's not what's going to happen here. Or I guess Zane can bring in Transnaturalist and Ordainer and trade Transnaturalist for Storm Shaper.
Yeah, so like Zangy just seems to be stabilized here.
Augur has to discard the land here.
Like the Whiterun Ordainer gets a free block on the Storm Shaper.
Oof.
All these cards that are journeyed.
Oof.
I don't. I guess the second pickpockets. All right.
Should Augur have played out their things pre-combat, just in case?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I'm not even sure if I'm super sold on Zane running out both pickpockets. That's probably alright, but I kind of like just Whiterun Ordainer and getting the block in. Now it seems like Augur is suddenly super far behind.
Yeah.
But it seems like they shouldn't be. I'm not sure exactly. It seems like some minor sequencing thing could have put them way farther ahead here, without that was taking the consult on turn 2, even.
Zane runs out Theocracy finally.
And now suddenly, yeah, I'm now suddenly struggling to see how Augur gets any hits in here.
Augur looking sadly at their 5 journeyed cards. So many cards in exile, none of them that they can get. Actually, Enraptured Countess might do something here.
Yeah, Enraptured Countess might have just been the best draw Augur could have gotten.
Yeah.
So I guess at the moment all they have to flash back is a Fire Burst. They want more Crossing the Fogs. And this is where the tail being a sorcery as well comes in big, because the Nizev and the Storm Sweeper get up to 3 power. That critical 3 power mark.
Augur still won't be able to get any hits in, though. And now Transnaturalist also bounces. I guess Zane can Transnaturalist the Suzume, right?
I'm not sure. She does. I was about to ask if Zane had a life game, but they have Whiterun Ordainer in hand. So, are they going to Transnaturalist the Suzume? They are.
No, wait, they're
Transnaturalist the Nizev.
I guess now Augur can't attack through anything.
Well, no, but...
Oh, they can Transnaturalist twice off Suzume.
Oh, I see. Is that good?
No idea. I mean, so if they can... So they Transnaturalist twice, the second Transnaturalist hits Augur's only attacker, and now Augur has to pass a turn without attacking and have 2 cards stuck in hand, and they're tapped out.
Yeah, but Zangy isn't necessarily advancing their board state. Oh, decides to Transnaturalist to Suzume, which is a very slow decision.
I think they're trying to stabilize with Suzume plus Whiterun.
That probably, though they have to jump with the Transnaturalist.
They also get hit off Theocracy, which they just missed. Or no, wait, it's post draw, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's fair, just because Suzume is pretty important. Though now that like Garrett on Pickpocket, for example, is coming down, I guess there's no way for them to get 2 discards because they're only getting 1 draw step, or they need to draw above the discard. Yeah, I guess maybe just Suzume is just important enough that it doesn't matter what the board state is.
Augur still has more paying lands, but it probably won't matter now that Whiterun's in play, and Zane can just run twice each turn off Suzume plus Monument. Yeah. And I think that Zane has a lock now, I think.
Yeah, I guess Suzume just does everything in this Ninjas deck. You just never want to let Suzume die. Yeah, but it definitely feels like this game could have been won by Augur.
Yeah.
None of the decisions felt super bad. Maybe there's cool inaccuracies, but this is the type of game where Augur got a very good draw. The deck seemed to work at full capacity, but just didn't get there.
And Augur concedes.
Yeah, kind of shows the power of Monument to the Fallen Man. The kind of speed that Zangy managed to set up not only lock but a good trump blockers versus kind of the aggressive deck.
So now Zane is going to move on to the top 8.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bit interesting in this GP. Yeah, because Zangy is still on that one of Silent Hypnotist in the main deck.
Well, I mean,
So,
they did lose against Infuse. I think in one of the games, they managed to draw Silent Hypnotist, but they didn't have the right mana to cast it on turn 2. And then they just lost from there.
What they lost to? Well, now they have a grudge. But just kind of, the sideboard does seem kind of set up to do well against Infuse with two more Silent Hypnotists, which are obviously good at naming Infuse. And it's possible that they can also bounce around the removal. Gaowu, as in a recent Perfect MSEM2 hand, does stop Infinite Angels.
Yeah.
2 Forbidden Treasures, 2 Shikai's without. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that ninjas can do against Infuse. It'll be interesting to see if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they manage to get the grudge match and if they manage to win the grudge match.
I'd personally root for them to bite the smug looks off these Infuse players' faces. Damn Infuse.